Hello. Welcome back to my channel, All About Rava, where it's all about me. I almost didn't record today's reflection. We're on day 5 of consistently recording, and I felt the exhaustion of the weekend pour over my body in a way that it removed my motivation. But here we are, because if we don't do this, if we don't keep this up, we will beat ourselves up mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And I don't want to do that. I'm quite tired of doing that. I'm quite tired of being disappointed in myself. So we're going to continue to show up so that we don't scream at ourselves. This weekend was fun. I had moments of rest. I had moments of levity and connection. I've been needing to socialize. I've been in my isolated tower here in New York City, and it has felt as if though it's a time to do a shit ton of work. And it always happens in the summer. For me, my time of work is always the summer. And I'm not saying that I don't work in the winters, but for whatever reason, the heaviest periods where I find the most motivation, the energy, probably because the sun is out, is during the summer. So I like to take advantage of this energy. And so we're here. We're here. We're doing the thing. But this weekend, I was able to connect with people and socialize and get away from the work, get away from the neuroticism that overtakes me and spirals me into spaces of complete, full blown productivity that edges on the edge of burnout. And we're trying our best not to do that this time. Yesterday, I went to a party. I am not sure if my experience with this party is indicative of the party as a whole, but I'm going to share with you my experience because it brought up some things within me that I would like to share. I love to rave and I love to party. I am not a scene girl. I do know some people in the scene through other connections or through other parties or through friends that I have made in the community. I found myself yesterday dancing per usual because that's all I do when I go out is dance. Some people like sexy time with their going out. I do not. I don't like the idea of making out with strangers on the dance floor because it takes away from my praising the gods. When I'm on the dance floor and I am giving myself to movement and to the energies that overtake me when I'm there, it feels sacred to me. I'm worshiping, I am offering my energy and venerating the guides that require that from me. Everyone has a pantheon of spirit guides that they come here with angels, with demons. They come here with gods, with goddesses, with Orisha in my case, and I'm sure the case is for many of you. And those who are tapped in spiritually and are very discerning about what their guides need and what they require of them know that each guide requires something different. And you're going to praise and you're going to worship and give your offerings and venerate them in very different ways. You wouldn't dance at a rave for, let's say, a deity like Guan Yin. But darker entities do require that because partying and raving is part of the underworld. And I'm sure to someone who's watching this on the other side of this camera, who isn't familiar with the occult, with mysticism, may think that this is demonic, may think that this is of the devil, but everyone has different practices, and I would love for the skeptical viewer to remain open. This isn't about demon worship, although there are those of us who study demonology, and their primary mode of spiritual connection is through demons. I don't view it as a positive or a negative thing unless they're using that energy and those entities in negative or positive ways, right? Then you can apply that hierarchy and that differentiation to that. But I would urge you to stay open-minded. I would urge you to hear instead of judge, to remain curious so that you're able to hopefully expand your horizon a little bit beyond your Christian bubble. We can all get along here. There is space for everyone. There is space to understand all of the things that we as human beings experience. And here I am rambling about things that may be relevant, but maybe do not matter to the task at hand. Anyways, the point is that I dance down. I am shaking my ass, preferably in a thong and some boots or sneakers. You know, I gotta be comfortable because I put my body through it. My legs are sore as hell when I come home from the dance floor. And yesterday, for the first time in a long time, I was able to feel very steady in that space. Don't get me wrong. Every single time I go into a party or a rave, I feel the overwhelm of everyone's energy. And in these spaces, you'll find folks with super strong energy. You'll find vampires, you'll find demons, some fairies here and there. The angels also rock with it too, and they're down there as well, partying it up, just so you know. So it's very strong energy, and at times it overwhelms my body, and I have to acclimate to the environment little by little and then start having my fun. Yesterday, I felt grounded because I was there with my partner and one of his friends, and I found myself being able to observe. There were moments of judgment, of course, who doesn't have those moments, but they weren't as loud as they usually are. I didn't feel a sense of having to protect myself. I have been doing a lot of solitary work, so I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. Nightlife can be a very the who's of who kind of space where who you know matters, what you do matters, what access and opportunity you can offer to other people and what they can do for you is also significant. It can also be a space of community. And this is the crux of today's reflection, where in many queer spaces that are safe, there's a communal aspect to it. And it feels like everyone just wants to get along, everyone just wants to dance and mind their business. And then there are those spaces where the mean girls show up and they want to be seen and they want to push the crowd around just because they can, or because they feel like they can. I don't know the reasoning behind this. It just distracts from the point of all of this, the point of raving, the point of going to a venue to see a DJ, of partying. It removes your ability to connect with people and commune with them in a way that keeps your heart center open. Now, I'm not saying that I'm a perfect bitch. I'm not saying that I can do this no problem and I got it in the bag and it's okay because I got it. And I'm not saying none of that. I falter. I can be a snarky and shady hoe, and that's okay. But there's a difference when you go out of your way, walking through a crowd, and instead of saying, excuse me, literally using your hand to push people out of the way. That kind of energy tells you something about a human being, that if you were an angry person and take things personally like I can tend to be, then you can take that personally. I have grown beyond taking it personally and have even moved beyond the need to apply compassion to a situation like this. And I stand firm in my indignation of someone daring to do something like that when we're supposed to be in community, when we're supposed to be loving each other and not being oh my God. And in the moment that I had yesterday where someone did push me coming from behind me as I'm dancing, having a good time, I stood my ground. They didn't say excuse me. They literally were trying to shove my body out of the way. And when I pushed back on them, they were gagged. I don't know why you would be gagged, that someone defended themselves. Someone also slapped my ass yesterday. I was wearing a leather thong underneath my leather kilt with a leather vest, right? It was an all leather look. That's going to be my uniform for the next couple of months. We got to do better. Stop touching people's bodies without their consent because you're interpreting the way that they dress as an invitation for you to grab ass. Now, this is where I'm going to get a little preachy. So forgive it. Stay open. And if you have something to say about it, put it in the comments below. And like and subscribe to my channel. Please share this video with someone that you love and someone that needs to hear these messages. We're living in a world where our queerness is being attacked, where our rights are being destroyed, and there's every attempt in the world to shackle us. Queer people show the world that we can literally be whoever the hell we want to be, and that we don't have to follow a societal script. Queerness makes it very difficult for governments to control the population. In a time where the marginalization of queerness is at an all-time high, why would you not reflect on yourself enough to show up in a community event, a party, and then enact a violence, because violence is a spectrum. And I'm not saying violence is never the answer. It has its time and place, and being in community is not the time and place. So you're telling me you spend $30-$40 getting a ticket for this party for Pride. You gathered your girls up, said, hey, we're gonna go to this party, let's plan, let's get these tickets, let's get an outfit, because I know a lot of y'all are more interested in getting a new outfit that other people have not seen you in than the sustainability of this planet. You gather your outfits, you gather your looks, and then you start to prepare. You know, you're with your girls, you're doing your thing, you maybe have a pregame, whatever, you meet over there, whatever it is. You're going through so much effort just to be seen, and then you take it a step further, and you're being a nasty, vile witch. While you're crowd surfing, you're pushing people out of your way in a way that is so rude to feel some kind of power over yourself. The default seems, specifically with gay men, to fall into this mean girl trope, I'm sure it comes from a place of insecurity, from a place of trying to gain some kind of control in this world, a place of deluded superiority that I don't quite understand. But it doesn't matter. The point is that you're transgressing against other people's right to have a good fucking time. And one day, when you push the wrong bitch out of the way, and what they do is then push you to the floor, it cannot be their fault that they retaliated against you, violating their personal space and their right to cordiality and respect. We have to do better. In general, we cannot follow the example that straight people have put out for us. I'm sure there's a mean girl trope that has been fed to us that they're eating it up, that the gays are eating it up, and it makes them feel superior to other people. And that we got to stop that. We got to be kinder to each other. We have to understand that we have to set the example for the world, not because it is our responsibility, but because we should have no choice but to be kind with each other. And yeah, there's some people in our community that can be a little weird and a little strange. You might think that they sit in a different social hierarchy than you do. Why bring that into the community space? Why not try to just have good fun? Why not try to just be kind? It's exhausting, truly. And I honestly don't want to continue to talk about it because it is just a mute point. Because at the end of the day, I can only control myself and my actions. And so you also have to be the change that you want to see. But it has to be said, in nightlife, in queer spaces, we need to foster a sense of kindness. But just be kind for pride, please. Just be kind for the parties. Don't shove people in a rude way. If you're going to have to shove, when it's appropriate. You just don't shove because you wanted to mess with someone else's body. That's not fair. Don't do that. It's not cute. I am so exhausted. I am tired. And I hope that you got some gems out of this. I feel like I've been babbling about absolutely nothing, but there's always some illumination that I'm sure you can find in these reflections. Make sure you follow my social media accounts in the description below. Season 2 for the Rava podcast comes out in September, and I would love to see you there. So until tomorrow, I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.